So after all that frost we've had, the garden looks very different. Very different. Now it's gone. And we're now going to be able to see just what's done well come through it without it affecting them, and things that are not doing so well. And it's inevitable. This is Allium Summer Drummer, and I said earlier on that although they look quite big, this is the time of year when they do start coming up. Now the lighter green are the ones that are suffering a little bit, but they are the newer leaves that have come up, but they'll be fine. Don't worry about those. The euphorbias, as predicted, will do very well indeed. If you remember when I was showing the last video where we had all that rime frost on it, they were reflexed well back, those leaves, and it almost looked like that was not going to do anything. But it's fine, absolutely fine. As I said, don't touch anything when it's like that. Today it's raining, it's absolutely pouring it down, although you can't see on here, it's pouring it down. But I thought I'd just do a quick walk through the garden and see if we can assess any damage that's occurred. So I've been round before I started the video, and I've spotted one or two things that may have a problem. This weather, or the weather we've just had, will sort out the not so good plants that aren't going to make it, and then some plants will be fine. Some will remain unscathed totally, and some will get a slight knock and probably not do so well. So as I said, if you do have perennials, don't cut them back. And part of that reason is for the very reason we've just had, which is all that hard frost. These stems help to protect the main crown of the plant in most cases, and they will protect it really well if you just simply leave them alone. The main reason I leave them alone is for the insects and the bird life, so they have something to find and eat when everything else is gone. Now, as predicted, this is Euphorbia pasteurei, and I did say it's more tender than the ordinary Wolfenii, as it is. And there we go, I've put it in a protected area. Now, I could have faffed about with that, and I could have covered it with some horticultural fleece, but I don't want to do that. I want to see if it can survive where it is, because it's in a very good area, and we did have an exceptionally hard frost for the week, which didn't help it. In fact, for 2 weeks, I think it was. It didn't help it, but it's doing all right. I mean, I'm looking at it from all sides at the moment, and it's okay. I'd like it to have come out unscathed, but I knew it wouldn't, because I know it's a bit more tender. Now, it's the hope at the moment that will bounce back, and I'm sure it will. We'll give that time and come back to that, more sort of February, March time, see how far that's got, if at all, if it's survived. And I'm predicting it will have survived. Now, one good thing is the Erysimum. This is Bowles Mauve, and Erysimums do very, very well in cold weather. As far as I'm concerned, they do very well. I don't often find them where they've died back in a hard frost. They're usually okay. As I said on my last video, we've got a lot of shrubs that haven't dropped their leaves, and this being one of them. But it's looking all right. At the moment, we'll see. We'll see what it is. This is the oak-leaved hydrangea, Quercifolia. Some of the leaves have turned the colour that I'd have expected them to turn a month ago, 2 months ago even. But it's carried on with its leaf, and again, it's in a more protected area, so that's probably why it's doing so well in keeping the leaves. I'd rather it dropped them, to be honest, and make a fresh start, but it's not doing that yet. The brown bits, they're the spent flowers. They're done. Nothing more will come of those. Things like the aces, they're not stupid. The Japanese maples, they drop the leaves early, ready for this type of weather, and in preparation. They're fine. Things like bamboos, like this one here, this is a Fargesia type. It's doing okay. That's winter black, I do believe, that particular one. It's doing okay. It's got some yellowing leaves, but it'll be fine. Now, this is a bit of a water butt for me, this old dustbin, but I did say before it's got a leak, and I'd managed to cure the leak, and it's been fine. But I've come this morning only to find it's emptied. So the hole has emptied it. It's finally given up. But there's nothing I can do about that at the moment. I've got nothing else I can replace it with at this time. So we'll leave it as it is. As you can see, it's a very good water collector. But that's done and dusted. The bird dustbin lids for the birds to get the water from have now melted, so they're doing fine. Most of the shrubs are doing okay. Fatsia japonica, let's have a look at this one. Okay, as I said with the Fatsia japonica, if you remember, some of the leaves will go black, fall off, some leaves will just simply fall off, some will turn yellow. But overall, in a bad frost like we've just had, I'm expecting a lot of them to go. Now they don't appear to have at the moment, but I'm not going to hold my breath on those ones, because I believe over time a lot of those leaves will go. Some will stay, inevitably. If they go, it's got some nice thick stems below that. In there's some nice stems, they should be fine. It should recover without a problem. Finally, the berberis has lost its leaves rather. Thank God for that. And so has the Catinus, and this is what we end up with. Now, the Catinus should have dropped the leaves over a month ago, but it didn't. But it has now. So I can look at the shape again, reevaluate it, see what we can do with that. I'm just not sure what to do with it at all. I'm an experienced gatherer. I'm not looking for ideas from you all people, by the way. I do know what I'm doing. I just make these comments for the video. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. Two great shrubs side by side. Should have only had one. I'm sure the person who planted them probably bought these in a pack of 3 different shrubs. There was another one. There was a skimmier here somewhere that was looking terrible, and that went a long time ago. So, yeah, so I still don't know what to do with that. That's fine. Begonias are coming into their time now. Doing well. They'll not be long before they're flowering. Mahonia japonica has lost its flowers, but is okay. Still not sure what I'm going to do with that. It's looking all right. Now then, this is Thamnocolmus, and it's called Thamnocolmus crassinoides, and it's a really nice one. I'm trying to show you the blue stem. There's the blue stem that it takes on. Now, some of the newer stems, as here, are more red, more of a reddy brown, I'd say. And they're looking good, and this time of year, this is what we expect to find from them. So they're doing all right. Yeah, they're all right. They're doing all right, where I'd expect them. Now, the acanthus, which is rue laden, remember the white one? I was expecting that to die completely back. It seems to have held on. It was looking great just before the frosts, holding its leaves well, but I knew it would succumb. But it will be fine. It will come back. The huge 10-foot Miscanthus lutaria riparius is half of that size now. It's folded over, as you can see. It's not going to be a problem. It has an aggressive rootstock. It will come back, and it'll be absolutely fine. We'll put a different end now because the postman turned up with a parcel. I had to pause it there. But anyway, right, so we're at this end, so let's talk about this end. So most of the stuff in here is doing all right. Euphorbias, as predicted, are doing well. Absolutely excellent. There's a little ledge sparrow under there, actually, if you can see it. Bouncing about. It's quite enjoying it. Yeah, what was I going to say about it? Right, here we go. There's another euphorbia here, and I'm just trying to think what it's called because it changed its name. Yeah, Epithymoides, it's changed its name to, and I believe... Oh, I thought it said it on there. It has changed its name. I can't remember what from. But nevertheless, it's doing okay. Now, this is my Skinny Mini. This is Malachi. And remember, I talked about it having a red or reddy purple tip once we get further on into winter. And there you go. It's exactly what it's doing. You can see it quite clearly now. And the whole thing does that. And it should possibly bleed into these leaves here as well. To go as far down as here, not much further than that, before it produces next year's flowers, which is only a week away, but it'll start flowering roughly about February, maybe start producing those flowers in February, but it's giving it that nice look. Now, this is another one. This is Black Pearl, and as you can see, it doesn't have that same look. Now, this one called Malachi was a seedling, or a selected seedling of mine from a previous house called Malachi Cottage. That's why it's called Malachi. And I selected it because it just looked a good blue colour at the time. It was small, as a seedling is, but it just looked different to all the other seedlings around it. And I decided that I would select it and another one. The other one was more green, didn't look as good, but I selected this one thinking it may have some good attributes. And it's a good 12 years old now, this one, if not older, and it's proved to be right. It's proved to be exactly what I thought it would be, which is a really good form. So that's doing really well. It's the two taller bits, that's probably its maximum height, which is about 3 foot maybe, 3.5 foot, and that'll do well. It's an evergreen, it comes from the Mediterranean, but it will do well here in this sort of location. And in the UK, most of them do okay. It'll be fine. I was talking about Malachi one. I think I've told you what I needed to tell you. But yeah, it looks lovely. Look at that. It's great. If I sound a bit nasally today, it's because I've got a cold. Might have mentioned that earlier. We'll just sweep over there. Look, we've started the pond. I'll have either uploaded that one video already or it'll get uploaded after this one. So what should we do at this time of year? Should we do anything? Not really. Leave things alone. Don't touch them. I tend not to touch anything at this time of year. The only thing I would say, if you've got things like the old sedums, if you've got time for cutting them back, then maybe one or two of those. It wouldn't hurt, but I would tend to leave them. If it's smaller ones, then take it away. Take the rubbish away. That one there is looking very, very black, but nevertheless it has something to offer in the garden still. It still looks good. It actually looks great with that euphorbia, so just leave them alone for a bit longer. They'll tell you when they're ready to be lifted. They will drop away on each one of these stalks will fall away. Now they're very sturdy at the moment. This is likely to be one from the Brilliant group, because it was already here when I got here, so I can't really name that one. And it's already got its new growth down the base, as you can see. So I leave it again. This is about leaving it so that it protects the base. This is a Rheum australe, which I've put into this dustbin because it is a bit of a runner. So I didn't want that, so I've put it into that dustbin. It's contained it, and it's got dead leaves. Now, this is the sort of clearing up I would do, simply because of the mushiness. But look, you can see how easy that is to clear away. But sometimes I tend to just leave it on the crown like that. That wouldn't hurt to leave it like that. It's not good from a point of view of it rotting, but it will add back to the soil. And if that was in the garden, I'd definitely leave it and throw it back on some part of the garden. Leave it well alone. My grasses do well at this time of year. They're set to shine still right through. I'll be hard pushed not to start chopping them back by January because things seem to be greening up now. This here, Pinus contorta Chief Joseph that I often talk about, superb. Look at that colour, bright yellow. In spring into summer, it will turn as green as the buxus behind it, and you'll not even know it's there. You'll not even spot it, or it'll not grab your attention. This is Yucca rostrata. It's doing well. People think they're a bit tender, but they're hardy as old boots, to be honest. And all the yellow in is just it wanting to lose its leaves and grow new ones. I've got Begonia Pressingham Ruby here. And it should start, you can see the backs of the leaves have started going. It will go ruby colour eventually, all over it. It'll look great. This is Stachys. Stachys will have this sort of die back at this time of year, without doubt. Pull away some of the rubbish if it does it. Don't leave it too long, but as you can see, all the new stuff is underneath, waiting to go. I tend to leave them alone till I really got to get stuck in. Now, the bigger gardens, like the ones that are open to the public, they will be already undertaking their clearance. They have to. They've got to. They've no choice because they have such big gardens and they've got to start clearing at this time of year. Well, if you're a smaller garden like myself, I'd recommend you just leave it alone. Don't bother with it at the moment. There's no point. You know, this will take me best part of a day to clear back, to cut back. And it won't be too hard. Yeah, there'll be a little bit of grunting and groaning going on, a bit of moaning. But if you have got a smaller garden like this, the advice I'd really give you, if you find little bits of stuff that really not giving any benefits anymore, such as this one here, this little perennial here, this is a Solidago, and it's not really offering anything at the moment, and I would just chop that back. I'd get rid of that. Take all that dead off completely. Because it's offering nothing to the garden. Just get rid. Things like the Fatsia that we talked about earlier, leave it alone. Just leave it alone and see what goes on. Something is going to go on at some point, and then you can make your decisions. About another month and a half time, you can make your own decision as to what you should be doing with it. The leaves are starting to fall off this Philadelphus finally. I'm just quite surprised how many leaves have stayed on. That Viburnum Davidi is looking fantastic. It's about to start setting its flowers. Correct time of the year for that one. It should be doing that. And it's good. And as we've had many conversations about the size of these things, it shouldn't grow very big. And that one won't. As I've talked about before, some of the bigger varieties may be either Cinnamomifolium, or they could just be a seedling from Davidi that's got bigger. So the varietal. Now, Verbena bonariensis. I had my neighbour around this morning. He's been talking about the ones I gave to him. He's took many cuttings himself, and he's not used to these, and he's dying back. They've practically gone black. As I said, they would die back once we had these frosts. I can't show you on that. I was just going to show you something here. I'll show you on this one. And I've shown him how to take some cuttings even now. So you see these bits here? Them bits there, you could simply remove those, take the leaves off, stick it in a glass of water for a while, and before you know it, in your house, you'll be producing roots off the bottom of that. And you'll have new plants. Just that size. Believe it or not, that will take, if you know what you're doing. Even if you don't know what you're doing, to be honest, it'll be absolutely fine. So the Japanese anemones, that black mass there, that's Japanese anemones. They're dying back. They die back quite well. And finally, the elder, the Sambucus, which is Black Tower, has finally lost its leaves. Oh, is losing its leaves. I've been watching them drop off over the last couple of days. And they're going. I want them to drop off because I want some fresh new growth in spring. I don't want to have to deal with old stuff. Now that Cortaderia, that's Patagonia, that's looking superb still. The colour is coming greyer, bluer. I suspected it might do that during summer, but it's winter now and it's doing really well. These are the Miscanthus yakushimensis. And they're getting to that point now where, you know, when we get to summer, spring, we will have to cut them back. The Brunera, they're dying back. That's where they should be. Some of the ferns are refusing to die back, but they will eventually. I'd sooner everything fall to bits at this time of year because we need it to. We need some fresh new growth. One thing that surprised me is this Elianthus salicifolia. So this is the Afghan elm plant that we talk about all the time. And it's got this lovely blue flush on its stems. Another reason for not cutting back. Hang on to stuff as long as you dare. And it looks fantastic. All the blue quite surprised me. It's a bit like the Thamnocalmus, actually. That Thamnocalmus crestinoides, the bamboo, which does the same, similar sort of... It's like a bloom, really. I suspect if I rub it, it would go away. Yeah, there you go, look. So when you rub it, but it continues to have a lovely look, even when I've rubbed that